ones that's going to keep this going, and it's not going to be us that's going to be here all the time. It's time for the young people to come in and see what's going on and take part, start them out with little things, and I think that would be interesting.
The most I liked about Lois was her humor and her sense of humor and her advice. Her advice that she gave to me as a new counselor when we served on council together. So what I valued her expertise.
I liked her stories of when she grew up as a little girl. I also enjoyed her humor. She joked a lot, so you knew not to take her seriously at times. And I liked her smile.
She was very encouraging. She was funny. That's what I would have to say. I like both about her.
As her son-in-law, what I really liked the most is, in addition to being my mother-in-law, she also became my very best friend.
It's a hard one. I think just her overall outlook, balance in life.
She was funny. She was insightful. She was kind. She knew the language. She was fluent. And she kind of, gave a role model of kind of how to carry yourself. You don't have to be angry or mean to get your point across. So I think those are the things I learned from Lois, or the qualities in her that I saw that I'd want to copy,
Well, for me, it was because I'm not home anymore. It was always her smile. When we first met, every time I meet her at the airport, or I get home and she was there waiting for us. She always had this smile, and that was something that really I always remember her by.
When I think of my grandmother, I think so much of her kindness and her willingness to listen and have real just conversation with you, and really taking the time to understand what you're saying and where you're coming from. Her laugh, her smile, her sense of humor were all intricate to who she was as a person, and to what really made her that beautiful soul that she is.
One of the things that she taught me, like I said, serving on council with her, was never to get angry no matter what people said to us, because she said, we will get a calling down as counselors, and she says, don't ever lose your temper.
She encouraged us to stay in school, do the best we can with the education and the knowledge that we learn from it, and just to be good in general, be kind to people and be patient and understanding.
To always tell the truth, to treat others the way you would like to be treated, so be kind to everyone. I think that is the major thing that I've learned most and have used all of my life.
To be patient. I was never very good at the patience business, but she would always say, okay, Ron, take your time, there's no hurry, let's just do it right. And that was the best thing she said to me, and I still have to learn from that.
Cooking would be one, for sure. She loved her home, so I would say being able to, take care of the home, the outdoors, the property. She loved the gardening.
To never really give up on your goals and dreams, and to really aim high. Part of that was why I moved away, is to do better for myself. And for me, it was through her that inspired me.
I think something that she's taught myself as her granddaughter, as well as her daughters and son, is that we have to work hard for what we want, that we can achieve anything that we want to put our minds to, but that education is so important for us in order to be able to achieve what we want to in life.
I think my favorite memory of her was us traveling together as elders in council. And a lot of times, she would drive and I would ride with her. And one of the things that we did together was talk about old times and talk about, like the things that we value most in our being on council, and how we should act, and when we have to decide something that we need to think about it, and that's one of the things that she always said, think about it.
My favorite memory over all the years is attending several of the AIAI conferences or bigger conferences with my mother. I got to see her in action as an elder, and was very happy and pleased and honored to be able to be with her during those times.
My favorite memory of Lois would be sitting on the porch many afternoons and just discussing the whole world, what's wrong with this world and where's it going and it's upside down, etc., etc.
She did her best to keep in touch with everyone. She loved to travel and have special occasions for the family.
There's so much, I'll say Christmas.
Her and another counselor, Olive, they used to be the fluent ones on council, and they'd always sit next to each other, and so it was always funny because they'd always be talking in language to each other, and all of a sudden they would both start giggling about something. And they didn't want to tell us what they were saying most of the time. Sometimes I caught a word here and there, but they both talked pretty quickly, so most of the time I didn't.
I always remember when I was up there with my family, and she would, my kids would be up early before us, and she'd be at the table talking to them, and she always had stories to tell, and she always made it funny, so the kids would always be laughing, and it was her storytelling. She always was good to tell stories.
I think the one memory that will always stand out to me is the opportunity that I had to go with her to an All-Ontario Chiefs Conference. And this stands out for me because this was my introduction into First Nations politics and my first opportunity to go to an assembly. And it was an eye-opener. It was the most impactful experience because it is what led me in terms of the direction and career that I wanted to take. And so without that, I really wouldn't be where I am, and I wouldn't have been involved, I think, as much as I am now.
I think it's important for young people to try and learn as much as they can, and whatever AI puts together, I guess, whether it's through this kind of interview or what, but anything, I think, is worth the effort. And because, like I said, I don't know what the kids are being taught out there, but they can best learn if they get it from their own community.
There's so many things that she has done that it's impossible to name everything, and I think that people respected her as being on council, and she was on council for a good number of years. She was on council, I don't know how long before I joined her, and served together for 8 years, and I admired that. And then she became elder for AIAI, and so we were always together at meetings, and we always made sure we sat side by side because we both talked in Oneida.
She brought the Oneida administration for the first time to the community back in 1965. So as a little girl myself, I saw the start of the office, of the council meetings that were in the little schoolhouse, to then move into a small house in the subdivision. That was another first back, I believe, in 1969. So I just saw how the administration office grew over the years and to what it is now, which is now a bigger administrative building, and it employs even more people, I believe over 200 people. So these are the type of things that I think that the community may not be aware of, just because of the younger generation may not know of her. But I'm pleased to have been a witness and part of her legacy.
I would also say, as far as the community goes, is the time spent at the United Fellowship Baptist Church, being a member there. And we did a lot of things that brought the community in.
I think her legacy is her family. She had 3 daughters and a son, and they're all doing very well, all well educated, and they're all dedicated to Oneida. 3 sisters work here at Oneida and do very important jobs.
She was a band administrator for a number of years, and then she went on to pursue some Oneida language and supported the language with the children in the schools, youth, the teenagers. And then she also served on the elected council for a few terms.
Her legacy lives on in her family because I see a lot of qualities that she had in them. And they're kind and respectful for the most part, and they're intelligent. And so I think that's her biggest legacy, is what she left behind in her family, besides language, of course, in the passion that she had for kids getting their education.
Her whole career, she spent the 30 plus years working as a band administrator, and through all those years, I always remembered her from the number 2 school. I was at the school at the same time, which was the office for her. It was just her and the chief, and through all those years, it's grown so much, and she had a lot to do with helping and growing the different departments that are there now. Came through all those years that she worked with them. So I think that had quite a bit to do with the community, all the different departments she was there involved in helping to grow.
She's taken a lot of steps to really, as I said before, live the life that she has advocated for, and went back to school to become a teacher for the United language, and so she could teach it at a high school level, as well as provide it one-on-one in the community, but also just making sure that everyone understands how important that is for us as we move forward as a community and as people. So I think those are very specific things, but I think everything that she has done in her life has really been about her family, but also about the strengthening of our community and our people, and really promoting who we are in a positive way, and so we can build a positive path forward.
And that might even give them ideas and encouragement to maybe enroll in their communities as counselors or young counselors, whatever might be set up for them. So I think that's important, because I don't know what they get in school, in terms of communities.
She always, she always had something good to offer. Her knowledge, she was high on education, and she always encouraged my kids and I'm sure my nephew and niece to increase on their education, and to always be willing to learn something, and be never stop learning in life. And that's kind of what I remember her as well by, is she was high on education.
She was caring and concerned that families are being treated well, are being treated a lot better than the past, when there wasn't the support of funding
trying to keep the language alive.
Oh, there are so many things. I've volunteered sometimes at the long-term care, and just seeing that building here at Oneida and how well it's run and how everything is going, I think that's a big legacy for her.
The public service, language, dedication to education for kids and all that kind of stuff. So
She was always full of advice. And always had a smile on her face, even when we ran into a difficult situation.
Oh, yeah, okay. Interesting.
How would I describe my grandmother to someone who doesn't know her is a really interesting question. I would probably say she is tiny. She is very kind. She is someone who who listens very well, who is generous, who is just a very loving soul, and just such a generous and loving woman.
My mother was very friendly and respectful of new visitors to our home or to the community. I always wanted to let them feel relaxed and comfortable amongst us, amongst her, and just that she always wanted to hear about them, where they're from, what they do, and also to let them know a little bit about our community as well.
She was the most patient and sweetest woman I think I've met. She had a real sense of kindness. She never got excited about anything. She was a really wonderful woman.
She's very balanced. She was cute in her own little way. She was as she grew older, she shrunk, of course, in size. She was only about 4'9" in her latter years here. She rarely complained of the pain that she was in, and we even, as a family, went over to Europe back in 2000, and she was totally wheelchair bound at that point. We were waiting for the surgeries. So that didn't stop her from going and living, her life to her fullest.
I'd say that she's very sweet and bubbly and kind, but be careful because she has a very sharp wit and she'll bring it out when you least expect it.
I describe her as being someone who's very intelligent, very kind and wise, and very knowledgeable.
Gottes